Have you ever just stood in front of a piece of art and felt something? You know, a real emotion, like wonder or sadness or even pure joy, and just thought to yourself, how? How are they doing that? Well, it's not magic, it's a language.
Seriously, think about it. They tell these epic stories, they share their deepest feelings, and they do it all without saying a thing. So what's their secret? Well, it turns out they're using a visual language. And just like any language, it has its own alphabet. These are the fundamental building blocks, the absolute basics, known as the elements of art. And once you learn to see them, I promise you, you will never look at art the same way again. So where do we even begin? Well, we start with the simplest, most basic thing an artist can do. We're talking about the very first letters of this visual alphabet, line and shape. You see, a line isn't just a mark on a page. It's really the ghost of a movement. You can almost feel the artist's hand sweeping across the canvas. It shows us everything, direction, energy, and pure intention, all in one single, elegant stroke. And that one simple line, it's a total powerhouse. It can be a hard, solid outline, or it can be just implied, suggesting an edge that isn't even there. Lines can trick your brain into seeing texture, and maybe most importantly, they're the artist's way of grabbing your eye and saying, hey, look over here. So what happens when a line decides to connect back to where it started? Boom, you get a shape. This is the next level up, a flat, closed-off area. It's contained, it's defined, and it becomes the basic skeleton for pretty much every object in a piece of art. But listen, not all shapes are created equal. Artists are super deliberate about this. You've got your geometric shapes, squares, circles, triangles, and they feel stable, predictable, almost symbolic. Then you have organic shapes, the kind you see in nature, right? Leaves, clouds. They feel way more fluid, sometimes even a little chaotic. An artist's choice of shape can set the entire mood in an instant. Okay, so we've got lines and shapes on a flat surface, but how do artists pull off that incredible trick of making it feel like you could just step right into the scene? That's where the next set of elements comes in, to create the illusion of a whole three-dimensional world. And this is where value enters the picture. Put simply, value is just the range from light to dark. Without it, everything would look totally flat. It's that beautiful dance between light and shadow that lets our brains see depth and figure out where the light is coming from. And this right here, this is the magic trick. Value is the key that unlocks the third dimension. By adding different values, shading and highlights to a flat circle, an artist can fool our eyes into seeing a totally convincing three-dimensional sphere. It's an absolutely masterful illusion. Which, of course, brings us to form. Form is basically the 3D version of a shape. Now, in sculpture, that form is real. You can walk around it. But in a painting, it's an illusion, built entirely out of value. It's what makes a drawing of a box look like a cube you could almost reach out and grab. And finally, we have space. A clever artist isn't just thinking about the main subjects, what we call the positive space. Nope, they're thinking just as much about the empty areas all around them, the negative space. That air is so important because it defines the subject and gives the whole piece balance and room to breathe. All right, so we've built a three-dimensional world, but it's kind of missing something, isn't it? How do artists make us feel what we're looking at? That's where color and texture come into play, because these two speak directly to our emotions and our senses. Color feels so simple, but it's actually pure physics. It's all about how our eyes translate light bouncing off a surface. That apple over there? It isn't really red. It's just absorbing all the other colors of light and reflecting the red ones back at us. And artists, they are masters at playing with this stuff. To get a handle on color, artists think about its three main properties. First, you've got hue. That's just the color's name, red, blue, green. Then there's value, which we've talked about, how light or dark it is. And finally, intensity. That's how punchy or how muted the color is. Think fire engine red versus a dull brick red. See the difference? And what's wild is that all of this, every single color you can possibly imagine, starts with just three primary colors: red, yellow, and blue. You can't mix anything to get them, but mix them together and you get the secondary colors. Mix those together, and suddenly you've unlocked the entire infinite spectrum of colors. It's such a beautifully simple system. And then we have texture. Now, with a sculpture, you can actually reach out and feel it. That's called tactile texture. But in a painting, the artist has to create the illusion of texture. Through really skillful use of lines, colors, and values, they can make something look like rough wood or smooth silk or sharp metal. They're making us feel with our eyes. So there we have it. We've learned the entire alphabet. Line, shape, form, value, space, color, and texture. Now, how do we put all of that together to actually read the artwork and understand what makes an artist's voice so unique? Well, that brings us to this really cool final idea called mark making. This is all about how the artist puts it all on the canvas. Are the brushstrokes thick and wild? Are the pencil lines soft and careful? These marks are literally the artist's handwriting. It's the physical evidence of their process, their energy, it's their personal signature. So you see, at the end of the day, these elements aren't just a list of technical terms you have to memorize for a test. They are the letters of a universal alphabet, a powerful language that can cross any culture, any century, and allows an artist to speak directly to us, heart to heart. So the next time you look at a piece of art, don't just see a picture. Try to see the language. Look for the choices the artist made. See the lines that are pulling your eye across the canvas. Feel the mood of the shapes, and notice the colors that are making you feel something. Because you know the language now. The only question is, what new stories will you discover?